Metroid. Zero Mission takes place on Planet Zeebs, a large open-ended world with areas connected by doors and elevators. The player controls Samus Aran as she travels through the planet's caverns and environments, hunting space pirates. Along the way, the player collects power-ups that enhance Samus's armor and weaponry, as well as grant her special abilities. These abilities allow Samus to access areas that were previously inaccessible, so that the game can be played linearly or non-linearly. For example, the player may come across caverns that bypass certain sections, a method termed sequence breaking. To save their progress, players can enter either save rooms or Samus's ship on Criteria. As a remake of Metroid, Zero Mission's layout bears a resemblance to the original, and various power-ups and items make reappearances from previous games in the series, with similar uses, effects, and appearances. However, the game adds new items, areas, and mini-bosses, as well as a completely new area named Chizonia. Zero Mission is the first game in the Metroid series to include a sequence in which the player controls Samus without her power suit. In this portion of the game, Samus is more vulnerable to damage, must crawl through ducts on her hands and knees without the help of her Morph Ball mode, and has a weak pistol that briefly stuns enemies as her only weapon. However, Samus retains all energy tanks she acquired previously. Completion of the game unlocks an emulated version of the original Metroid game. Zero Mission also allows players to unlock the Metroid Fusion picture gallery by linking between Zero Mission and Fusion cartridges via the Game Boy Advance Game Link cable. Metroid. Zero Mission was given generally favorable reviews, according to Metacritic. The game was praised by a number of reviews, several which called it one of the best games available for the Game Boy Advance. Japanese game magazine Famitsu gave the game a score of 34 out of 40. X-Play and Game Pro enjoyed the game. X-Play said the game was perfect for blasting space pirates on the go, and Game Pro was constantly surprised with what the game offered. GameZone said it surpassed the style and addictive action of Metroid Fusion. Nintendo World Report called the game a masterpiece and the perfect example of how a Metroid game should be done, saying that the designers carefully mixed all the best elements from the other games and layered them on top of the original level design and concepts of the original Metroid. Eurogamer appreciated every minute of the game, affirming that Metroid Zero Mission should be considered one of the best games available for the Game Boy Advance. A number of reviews were pleased with the new content added to Metroid Zero Mission. Game Informer appreciated the new material and believed that fans of the Metroid series would absolutely adore Metroid Zero Mission, which they considered one of the greatest video games in the history of gaming. OneUp.com considered Metroid Zero Mission to be one of the most ambitious, comprehensive, and successful remakes for a game such as Metroid, noting that Metroid Zero Mission expands on its source material with refined control, gameplay ideas retrofitted from its sequels, new plot hooks for subsequent chapters of the saga, and some innovations which add new layers of complexity to the series. Criticism of the game stemmed from its short length. Regarded as a weak one-shot experience, IGN felt that players would enjoy the game only after they had completed it and played it again. Eurogamer was also critical of the length. Even though Games Radar liked the game's quality, they said that Nintendo should have made the experience last longer. GameSpot was disappointed with the short-lived experience, but blamed the game's captivating quality that compelled them to complete the game in a few sittings. Calling Metroid Zero Mission stale, GameSpy asserted that players less familiar with Metroid games would get more enjoyment out of it because of its similarities to previous Metroid games. The game was ranked the 46th best game for any Nintendo system in Nintendo Power's Top 200 Games list. In their March 2010 issue, the magazine also ranked Metroid Zero Mission as the 8th best game to be released on a Nintendo console in the 2000 decade, in their Best of the Decade feature. Metroid Zero Mission was voted IGN Game Boy Advance Game of the Month for February 2004, and IGN staff named it the best Game Boy Adventure game of 2004 and the 9th best Game Boy Advance game. GameSpot also named it the best Game Boy Advance game of February 2004 and nominated it for the year-end Best Game Boy Advance Game award. Electronic Gaming Monthly also named it the best handheld game of 2004. Official Nintendo magazine ranked the game 94th in a list of the best Nintendo games. Nintendo Power also ranked it the best Game Boy Advance game of all time in its August 2011 issue. In 2020, IGN named Zero Mission the 5th greatest video game remake.